A poultry farm began experiencing a problem when the number of chickens kept decreasing without any clear explanation. There are no strange noises, tracks, or eyewitnesses. Every morning, the farmer discovered that several chickens had disappeared. Although the losses were still relatively small, the repeated incidents over many days suggested that this was no longer a random occurrence. To find the answer, the entire camera system around the coop was reviewed. The footage quickly revealed a mystery that had puzzled the farm for days. The cameras showed that the culprit was a fox. What stood out was that it did not act recklessly. For several consecutive nights, the animal appeared only to observe. It moved slowly around the area, memorizing pathways, fence locations, and gaps that people rarely noticed. Only when everything became quiet did it approach its target. This cautious behavior suggested that it was not the first time the fox had searched for food near human settlements. For many farmers, foxes are among the most common predators around poultry operations. They are primarily nocturnal and usually leave their dens only when the surrounding area is quiet. If protection measures are not strong enough, chicken coops can become an attractive food source. Once a fox discovers a reliable supply of food, it often remembers a location and returns repeatedly using familiar routes. At first, many farms relied on guard dogs to strengthen their defenses. These dogs can detect unfamiliar animals from a considerable distance and immediately alert farmers when something unusual appears. Some livestock guardian breeds are even trained to patrol around barns and coops during the night. When foxes realize that guard dogs are constantly present, many choose to leave rather than risk approaching the food source. In addition, once their travel routes were identified, the farm owner began selecting suitable traps. Baits such as chicken, goat, or lamb meat were used to attract the animal's attention. On many farms, metal cage traps remain a popular option because they're easy to deploy and safe to use near residential areas. However, experienced farmers understand that the effectiveness of a trapping system depends less on the number of traps and more on where they are placed. A single trap positioned directly along the animal's travel route is often more effective than several traps placed randomly. For that reason, the most important part of wildlife control is not installing equipment, but studying behavior. Carefully observing movement patterns, appearance times, and approaches to target can significantly improve success rates while reducing both time and costs. Even after the traps were deployed, monitoring continued. Cameras operated every night to record any changes in the fox's behavior. Wild predators are highly adaptable to their surroundings. If they detect danger or encounter obstacles along familiar routes, they can change their path immediately. When that happens, trap locations must also be adjusted to maintain effectiveness. In many cases, simply making access to the chicken coop more difficult is enough to significantly reduce fox activity. This is why preventive measures are always considered more valuable than dealing with losses after they occur. A combination of continuous observation, tactical adjustments, and consistent pressure makes livestock areas far less attractive to predators. Alongside monitoring efforts, strengthening infrastructure is equally important. Fences should be buried deep enough to prevent digging. Coop doors must be securely locked before nightfall, and leftover feed should be cleaned up regularly to avoid attracting wildlife. Whether using traps, cameras, or guard dogs, the goal remains the same: reducing livestock losses while maintaining a balance between agricultural production and the surrounding environment. If you found this story helpful, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to discover more real-world stories like this. On the vast field stretching across the peaceful countryside, there's one opponent that farmers must always be wary of. It does not possess the overwhelming strength of a bear or the destructive power of a wild boar. Yet a single careless night can be enough for an entire flock of chickens to disappear without a trace. That opponent is a fox, a small predator renowned for its intelligence, patience, and remarkable adaptability. It all began when surveillance cameras repeatedly captured footage of a fox appearing around the farm buildings. Unlike many other predators, it did not charge directly toward its target. Instead, it spent several nights simply observing. It moved along the fences, paused in hidden corners, tested the wind, and memorized every change in its surroundings. With each appearance, it seemed to gather another piece of information for its next move. At first, the farmers reinforced the fences and increased the lighting around the property. These measures proved effective during the first few days. But the fox quickly adapted. It changed the times of its movements, appeared in areas with less light, and continued searching for weaknesses. Before long, fresh tracks began appearing once again in the soft soil behind the chicken coop, the battle of which was far from over. rather than reacting hastily. We began studying its habits. Cameras were placed along narrow trails running between the grassy fields and the tree lines. After days of observation, a pattern gradually emerged. The fox consistently chose the same travel corridor. It avoided large open spaces and preferred to stay close to the edges of brush where it could remain concealed. Each time it approached the farm, it stepped almost exactly where it had before, as though it were following an invisible path known only to itself. That behavior ultimately helped determine the ideal trap location. A steel foothold trap was carefully concealed beneath a thin layer of soil. Every dry leaf and every small blade of grass was arranged to preserve the natural appearance of the area. But setting the trap was only half the challenge. Foxes are well known for their ability to detect even the slightest changes in their environment. A single unfamiliar scent or an unusual disturbance could be enough to make it alter its route. For that reason, every step of the process was carried out with extreme care. The surrounding area was left undisturbed. There were no obvious objects and no signs that humans had recently been there. The following days passed in anticipation. The cameras continued to record the fox appearing regularly. It passed by the trap location many times, but always kept a safe distance. On some occasions, it stopped for several minutes, simply to observe its surroundings. Then the decisive moment finally arrived. Early one morning, while a blanket of fog still covered the ground, the camera sent back an unusual signal. Tracks led directly to the location that had been prepared days earlier. After weeks of checking, observing, and adjusting our strategy, all the planning had finally paid off. The key was not the trap itself, but understanding how the opponent thought and moved. This operation once again demonstrated that predator control is not as simple as setting a trap and waiting. Success always begins with observation. Every footprint in the soil, every section of fence that has been disturbed, and every appearance on camera represents an important piece of the puzzle. When those pieces are connected, they reveal the full story that nature has been quietly telling all along. In the wild, foxes are neither the largest nor the strongest animals. Yet their caution and adaptability have made them one of the most unpredictable opponents a farmer can face. And sometimes the most effective battle is not one fought through strength, but a prolonged contest of intelligence between human experience and the survival instincts that have been honed through countless generations of foxes.
In many consecutive nights, a fox was repeatedly seen near the livestock area located behind the farm. The animal often moved quietly along the fence line before carefully approaching the poultry enclosure under the cover of darkness. With sharp observation skills and a habit of operating during quiet hours when human activity was minimal, the fox quickly identified favorable spots for hunting. After each appearance, the number of chickens inside the coop noticeably decreased, and the damage became increasingly evident over time. Direct sightings of the fox carrying prey away from the area allowed the farmer to confirm the true cause of the ongoing livestock losses that had persisted in recent weeks, turning suspicion into certainty and prompting closer monitoring of the entire perimeter. After identifying the fox as the culprit, the farmer began spending significantly more time observing its behavior around the farm. Over many days of tracking, it became clear that the fox consistently used fixed routes when approaching the livestock area. It primarily moved along fence lines, narrow dirt paths, and dense vegetation zones that provided concealment and reduced visibility. Repeated paw prints found on soft ground further confirmed its habitual travel direction and movement patterns. These collected observations became crucial data for understanding the fox's behavior, allowing the farmer to map its activity range more accurately and select optimal locations for implementing more effective control measures aimed at reducing further losses. Once the movement range of the fox had been clearly established, the farmer proceeded to set traps in areas where the animal frequently passed through. Locations near fences, narrow passages, and thick brush were prioritized because they matched the fox's natural movement tendencies and travel corridors. Carefully prepared bait was placed strategically inside the trapping systems to increase the likelihood of attracting the animal. Throughout the entire process, the surrounding environment was kept as undisturbed as possible to avoid alerting the fox or causing abnormal behavioral changes. Every trap was thoroughly checked before activation to ensure stability and readiness, forming a coordinated system designed to function effectively during the nights when the fox returned. After the trapping system was fully deployed, a group of local hunters decided to conduct a fox hunting operation in the nearby forest bordering the agricultural area. They carried legally permitted hunting tools and moved through multiple terrain zones in search of signs of the animal's presence. Forest trails, open grass patches, and dense shrub areas were carefully inspected during the search. Along the way, several paw prints and activity traces were discovered on the ground, confirming that the fox had been actively moving through the region. At one point, the animal briefly appeared near an open clearing before quickly retreating into thicker vegetation, prompting the hunters to continue tracking its routes and documenting its movement patterns for further strategic planning. In the following days, the farmer continued inspecting the installed traps and evaluating their effectiveness in real conditions. New signs indicated that the fox had begun adjusting its movement patterns after noticing disturbances around the farm area. Based on these observations, several traps were repositioned to more strategic locations to improve capture probability. The bait was also regularly refreshed to maintain its attractiveness and effectiveness over time. At the same time, the entire trapping system was carefully maintained to ensure it remained stable and unaffected by weather conditions or interference from other animals. These continuous adjustments gradually improved the overall efficiency of the control strategy and increased the likelihood of success. After many days of monitoring and fine-tuning trap placement, the final result eventually appeared. During a morning inspection, the farmer discovered that one of the traps near the rear fence had been triggered during the night. Around the site were multiple footprints and disturbed soil, clearly indicating that the fox had approached the bait before being captured. Upon closer inspection, it was confirmed that the fox had been successfully contained within the trapping system. This outcome demonstrated that selecting trap locations based on real movement patterns was highly accurate and effective. Following this event, livestock losses decreased significantly, farm conditions stabilized, and the additional 30-word reinforcement of monitoring practices further emphasized the importance of continued vigilance in preventing future wildlife intrusion incidents.
Silently like a criminal. Yet the dole is classified as
Imagine a farmer waking up at dawn and finding nothing but scattered feathers behind the chicken coop. There were no loud noises during the night. No fences had been broken. Yet in just a few short hours, dozens of chickens had vanished. The culprit was the red fox, one of the most cunning predators in the British countryside. These animals move almost silently, use darkness to their advantage, and remember every weakness around a farm. Every year, thousands of poultry owners lose birds to these unexpected raids. But in areas such as Yorkshire, Devon, and Cornwall, local farmers have developed methods based on understanding fox travel patterns. Simple yet highly effective strategies that continue to be widely used today. Last winter, a farmer near Yorkshire began noticing something unusual.
2 pounds.
Every few nights, a few more chickens would disappear. An infrared camera finally revealed the culprit.
calling the cubs up, so he's very much involved with looking after the...
A fully grown red fox appeared at almost exactly 3 o'clock in the morning. Instead of rushing straight toward the coop, it circled the area several times, carefully checking its surroundings. Once it was certain there was no danger, it quickly grabbed its prey and disappeared into the darkness within minutes. What worried the farmer most was the realization that the fox seemed to know the entire property by heart. While many people focused on building stronger fences or installing brighter lights, experienced farmers concentrated on something else: the fox's regular travel routes. After years of observation, they discovered that most foxes do not move randomly. Small paw prints in soft soil, flattened patches of grass, and gaps beneath fences all became valuable clues. One farmer once found a fox trapped beneath a fence, and that location helped him identify the route the animal frequently used. At that spot, he did not place bait out in the middle of a field. Instead, he positioned a specialized foothold trap directly along the fox's natural path. The trap was carefully concealed beneath a thin layer of soil and dry leaves. Every effort was made to minimize human scent and disturbance. Experienced trappers understood that foxes possess an extremely sensitive sense of smell. If they detect an unfamiliar scent or even a slight change in the ground, they may avoid the area for weeks. For several nights in a row, cameras recorded the fox following the same familiar route. It would stop, sniff the air, scan its surroundings, and continue forward. The distance between its denning area and the chicken coop remained nearly identical every night. Everything unfolded exactly as expected. On the 6th night, the decisive moment finally arrived. As the fox stepped into the location it used most often, the trap was triggered. In an instant, the animal was restrained before it could reach the poultry area. The following morning, the farmer checked the site and confirmed that the raids that had plagued the farm for months had finally come to an end. What made the result remarkable was that it did not rely on constant pursuit or endless searching. Instead, it relied on understanding the animal's behavior.
Let's let her go.
Meanwhile, the debate over predator control continues. Some people argue that foxes play an important role in controlling rodent populations in the wild. Livestock and poultry owners, however, believe they must protect their livelihoods from growing losses. Yet regardless of where people stand, most agree that foxes are among the smartest opponents farmers face. From Yorkshire to Devon, Cornwall, and rural communities across England, this quiet conflict continues night after night. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories in the future. Red foxes have proven that danger does not always come from strength alone. Sometimes it comes from patience, intelligence, and an extraordinary ability to adapt in the darkness. Over several consecutive days, the livestock farm began showing unusual signs around the fences and the paths behind the barns. A number of poultry disappeared within a short period, making the farmer realize this was no longer normal loss as before. Small footprints repeatedly appeared on the soft ground, all following the same familiar direction of movement. Some patches of grass near the coop were also dug up overnight without a clear cause. After closer observation, the farmer suspected that a fox had been entering the area and was repeatedly returning to search for food. After noticing the continuous signs, the farmer began closely monitoring the routes around the livestock area to determine the fox's movement patterns. The animal often followed fence edges, narrow paths, or areas with dense vegetation to avoid being detected during its approach. Repeated footprints in the same locations indicated that the fox had established familiar routes around the farm. Some flattened grass patches and disturbed soil further helped identify the main activity zone before setting up an appropriate trapping system. As the signs became clearer, the farmer began deploying traps at locations where the fox was suspected to frequently pass in previous days. Areas near fences, narrow paths, and dense vegetation edges were prioritized as they matched the animal's habitual movement routes. Bait with a strong scent was prepared to increase the likelihood of attracting the fox to the trap locations. Throughout the setup process, the surrounding environment was kept unchanged to avoid creating disturbances that might alert the fox and cause it to switch routes around the farm. The trap positions were also carefully checked before being put into long-term use. The main reason the fox kept returning to this area was the availability of food around the livestock farm over time. As natural habitats shrank, foxes were forced to move closer to human settlements to find more accessible food sources. Poultry, small animals, and leftover feed became easy targets for the fox over many consecutive days. After noticing increasing losses, the farmer began organizing inspections and patrols along pathways, fences, and dense vegetation areas to prevent further intrusions into the farm. After setting the traps, the farmer continued adjusting their positions based on new signs appearing around the livestock area in the following days. Some traps were moved directly onto routes frequently used by the fox instead of remaining in fixed positions for too long. The surrounding environment was also kept natural to avoid altering the animal's behavior during its movement and foraging. At the same time, the trap system was regularly checked to ensure it remained stable, secure, and unaffected by environmental factors or other animals in the area. After some time, trap inspections were carried out regularly in the early morning or during quieter periods when the area was easier to observe. At trap sites, the farmer found signs such as disturbed soil, flattened grass, or small objects slightly shifted from their original positions. These indicators suggested that the fox had approached the area and investigated the bait placed inside the traps. Based on the real situation, the farmer continued adjusting the setup to improve control efficiency and reduce long-term damage to the entire livestock farm. After many days of monitoring and more suitable trap adjustments, the frequency of fox returns to the livestock area gradually decreased. The farmer continued regular inspections to protect the livestock and maintain long-term stability across the entire farm.
At the edge of the farm, everything began not with loud attack, but with very small signs. A few chickens disappeared beyond the fence. Soft soil held delicate footprints like strokes of a drawing, and around the coop, the scent of the wild lingered in the early morning mist like a silent warning. At first, people thought it was only a fox passing through during the night, but when the tracks reappeared day after day, always along the same narrow trail, everyone realized the animal was no longer hunting at random. It had memorized the farm. foxes do not rely entirely on strength. They survive through patience, memory, and an almost unbelievable sense of suspicion. A new fence, an unfamiliar light, or even a faint scent of a human is enough to make them change direction. That is why cage traps placed too openly quickly become useless. The fox could circle around them, sniff for a long time, even stand several meters away to observe, before disappearing back into darkness as if it had never been there. Because of that, the control team decided to switch to a steel foothold trap, not placed openly beside bait, but positioned directly along the fox's unavoidable travel route. This kind of trap required careful calculation rather than luck. Before setting it, they spent the entire morning reading the signs on the ground. Small tracks, pressed deeper at the front, show that the fox often shifted its weight onto one point while crossing a low mound near the fence. A nearly invisible trail revealed itself through lightly flattened grass, where the fox had passed so many times that the ground itself seemed to remember the rhythm of its footsteps. The trap was buried beneath a thin layer of soil at the exact spot where the fox was most likely to place its paw while slipping through the narrow path. Every movement was carried out slowly and discreetly. The disturbed soil was spread back to match its original color. Dry leaves were returned as though they had never been touched, and even broken blades of grass were carefully covered so nothing looked out of place. The goal was not to create an obvious trap, but to restore the familiar landscape so perfectly that the fox would notice no change at all. With an animal this cunning, a single unfamiliar scent, a patch of fresh dirt, or even a stone lying in the wrong place could make abandon the trail forever. Night fell slowly. Wind moved through the wooden fence, carrying the sound of rustling leaves and the smell of damp earth after rain. Infrared cameras captured the fox appearing at the edge of the woods, faint like a reddish-gray shadow gliding across the grass. It did not rush forward. It stopped, lifted its head, tested the air, then stepped forward one careful stride at a time, so cautious it almost seemed to measure every distance by instinct alone. That was the moment everyone held their breath. The fox moved past the first bush, paused beside the old fence post, then continued along the familiar trail. It had traveled this route too many times, enough to believe it was safe, but that very sense of familiarity became its weakness. The instant its front paw touched the concealed ground, the trap snapped shut. There was no prolonged chaos, only a sudden movement in the darkness, and then the fox was held on the very path it had once controlled. The following morning, the control team returned while mist still covered the grass in white. The fox was secured in a condition that allowed it to be handled according to local wildlife management procedures. For those who had worked in this field for years, the goal was never to create a cruel chase, but to prevent repeated damage, protect livestock, and reduce conflict between humans and wildlife. In nature, every species has its own way of surviving, and to control an intelligent animal like a fox, humans cannot rely on force alone. They must read tracks, understand habits, respect its instinctive caution, and act at the right moment. Because sometimes, to protect a farm, the most important thing is not where the trap is placed, but how deeply people understand the invisible path of predator.
For many consecutive days, residents around the area noticed a fox that frequently moved near farms and livestock facilities. The animal usually appeared during quiet hours when few people were around, and spent much of its time searching for food near places where small domestic animals were kept. Because of its cautious nature, the fox preferred routes with vegetation, bushes, or concealed terrain to avoid being seen. Through repeated observation, local residents discovered that it regularly followed familiar paths connecting fields, gardens, and livestock areas. Its repeated appearances over a long period showed that this was no longer an isolated incident, but a growing concern for the community. In the days that followed, the fox continued appearing near residential areas and farms throughout the region. It often traveled along field edges, moved beside fences, or slipped unnoticed into places where poultry and other small animals were raised. Several livestock owners began noticing that animals were disappearing without any obvious explanation. As sightings of the fox became more frequent, people gradually concluded that it was responsible for the recent losses. The animal's constant presence caused concern among residents because they feared it would continue returning and creating further damage. Faced with this situation, many people agreed that suitable control measures needed to be implemented to protect livestock and reduce future losses. After identifying the locations where the fox appeared most frequently, residents began installing a trapping system in carefully selected areas. Places near trails, fence lines, and dense vegetation were prioritized because they matched the animal's normal movement patterns. Bait was prepared and positioned carefully to increase the chances of attracting the fox. Throughout the setup process, the surrounding environment was left almost unchanged to avoid altering the animal's natural behavior. Every trap was thoroughly inspected before being put into operation to ensure reliable performance. Once all preparations were complete, residents continued monitoring the area and waiting for results. Although human activity in the area had increased noticeably, the fox continued returning to familiar locations in search of food. It followed the same routes it had used for many previous days and showed no indication of leaving the region. From time to time, the animal was seen near livestock enclosures before quickly disappearing into nearby bushes or open fields. These repeated appearances demonstrated that the fox was maintaining its normal feeding habits despite changes in its surroundings. This convinced local residents that the animal had not yet detected the presence of the trapping system. Its confidence allowed it to continue operating within areas that were already being closely monitored. During the following days, the fox passed repeatedly through locations where traps had been installed. The bait appeared to attract its attention more strongly with each visit. Whenever it approached the area, the animal spent time observing its surroundings before gradually moving closer to the trap location. Over time, the distance between the fox and the trapping system steadily decreased. Because it continued following the same familiar travel routes, the animal returned to the area night after night. Its frequent presence around the bait suggested that the chances of success were steadily increasing. Residents remained attentive and continued monitoring developments. After many days of waiting, the desired result finally arrived. During a routine inspection one morning, residents discovered that a trap had been triggered in an area where fox activity had often been recorded. Around the location were footprints and disturbed patches of soil, indicating that the animal had approached the bait during the night. Upon closer examination, people confirmed that the fox had been successfully contained within the trapping system. This outcome demonstrated that selecting trap locations according to the animal's movement habits had been an effective strategy. Following the capture, livestock losses declined significantly, and daily life in the area gradually began returning to normal. The successful control of the fox helped restore stability to the livestock area. Residents continued monitoring the surroundings and protecting their animals to reduce the risk of similar incidents in the future. This experience highlighted the importance of early detection and timely action whenever wild animals appear near residential communities. Through cooperation, observation, and consistent monitoring, the community managed the situation effectively and prevented further losses. Their efforts provided a valuable example of responsible wildlife management and community protection. After many consecutive nights, a fox appeared around the livestock area behind the farm. The animal moved along the fence and observed the poultry coop while searching for food. With its reddish-brown fur and quick movements, the fox often used dark areas or places covered with vegetation to approach the enclosure. The farmer directly saw the animal appearing many times near the chicken coop on different nights. After each appearance of the fox, the number of poultry inside the coop decreased noticeably, making the level of damage more serious for the farming area. After clearly identifying the animal around the farm as a fox, the farmer began monitoring its movement routes around the livestock area. The animal often followed the edges of fences, narrow trails, or areas covered with vegetation to avoid being detected while approaching the enclosures. Small footprints repeatedly appearing in the same places showed that the fox had formed familiar routes around the farm. Several patches of flattened grass near the fence also helped the farmer determine the animal's activity range before deploying a trapping system to control the damage. As the signs of fox activity became more obvious, the farmer started preparing trap systems at locations where the animal was suspected to pass through frequently during the previous days. Areas near fences, narrow pathways, or the edges of dense vegetation were prioritized because they matched the fox's familiar movement routes around the farm. Bait with a strong smell was prepared to increase the chances of attracting the animal to the trap locations more quickly. Throughout the setup process, the surrounding environment was kept natural to avoid creating changes that could make the fox cautious and cause it to switch to another route. Foxes are wild animals that usually live in forests, grasslands, or areas with dense bushes. As natural habitats gradually shrink, they begin moving closer to human settlements to search for more accessible food sources. Poultry and small animals in farming areas become convenient targets for foxes over long periods of time. The repeated appearance of the animal directly affects farming activities and increases losses for farmers around the area. If not controlled in time, the damage could continue for an extended period. After completing the trap installation, the farmer continued adjusting the positions based on new signs appearing around the livestock area during the following days. Several traps were moved directly onto the exact routes frequently used by the fox instead of remaining in the old positions as before. The surrounding area was still kept natural to avoid changing the animal's behavior during its movement and food searching activities. At the same time, the entire trapping system was checked regularly to ensure stable operation, firmness, and that nothing shifted due to environmental effects or other animals. After many days of continuous monitoring, the farmer discovered that the trap near the fence had been triggered early in the morning behind the farm. Around the trap location, many footprints and disturbed soil appeared, showing that the fox had approached the bait during the previous night. The animal was held inside the trapping system after the closing mechanism operated exactly as originally planned. After inspecting the surrounding area, the farmer realized that the previous arrangement perfectly matched the fox's familiar movement routes around the farm. From that point on, the disappearance of poultry began to decrease significantly. After many days of monitoring and adjusting the trap positions more appropriately, the number of foxes returning to the livestock area gradually decreased over time. The farmer continued checking fences, narrow pathways, and areas where traces had previously appeared in order to protect the animals and maintain long-term stability for the entire farm in the future.